When I first started playing Warframe, my friends asked me, "What type of weapon do you like?" And I replied cluelessly, "Well, I just wanna kill stuff." And they immediately traded me a heck shotgun. And that's when my love for this type of weapon kind of was instilled. Hey guys, hello and welcome back. As always, my name is Leyzar, and today we're going to be talking about a weapon that I honestly feel gets overlooked most of the time. This is the Boar Prime. Absolutely beautiful lead pumping weapon. But before we get into it, please keep in mind that my builds, my guides usually take a more new player friendly approach, simply because there's a lot of information here that most people ignore, and I feel I should cover it because nobody explained it to me. So there you go. The Boar Prime is an automatic shotgun, and I'm gonna quickly glance over its stats. Accuracy is 5.0, so it's not extremely high. Critical chance is 15%, which is again very low, and critical multiplier again 2.x. The Boar Prime is definitely not a crit weapon. Fire rate, however, is 4.67, and magazine capacity is 20. That means this is an awesome automatic shotgun because the trigger, as you can see down here, is auto. The reload time, however, is a bit ghastly. 2.8 is a bit of a long time, but the magazine capacity definitely makes up for it. Riven disposition is 5 out of 5, meaning the Rivens are going to be extremely powerful, and of course we'll have a Riven version to this build a bit later. Now here's the biggie, status chance 30%. Now this is the most important thing probably about this weapon, the fact that it has a 30% status chance, meaning we're going to be able to get 100% status chance. Now the type of damage the Boar does is impact, puncture, and slash, with the impact being by far the highest. Now I know what you're thinking, I honestly tried to make it into a slash weapon just like I would make the Tigris Prime. I even spent a whole lot of money on a Riven that had slash damage on it. Needless to say, I spent 2 days just to find out that the Tigris is way better if you try to make it into a slash weapon, that is. So don't waste your time, take my word for it. In any case, let's start talking about the mod capacity. Is 60 out of 60. How do you get this mod capacity? You jump into actions and you install an Orokin Catalyst. Orokin Catalyst can be found on alerts or invasions, or you can even get it as a reward from the daily sortie if you're lucky enough. However, more often than not, you're going to be forced to spend 20 plat for it, which is definitely not ideal, but there you go, them's the breaks. One last note before we add mods, you will see the number 5 above the star over here. That means that this weapon has been formatted 5 times. However, for this build, you'll only need to format a maximum of 3 times. So don't worry, you're not gonna have to format 5 times. Maximum 3. First thing we want to add, as per usual, is flat damage. The damage mod for shotguns is point blank. If you guys have primed versions of any of the mods that I recommend, then by all means use your prime versions. Point blank, after damage, we're gonna add multi-shot. Multi-shot is especially important on shotguns because they are pellet-based, and this is a pellet-based shotgun. Not like the Arca Plasmor, for example, which is a single projectile. A big one, but still just one. Health Chamber will add 120% multi-shot. Now please take into consideration that our status chance has jumped wildly from 30% to 54.4%. And of course, being multi-shot, impact, puncture, and slash, the default damage has been increased because multi-shot of course will increase that as well. And this is kind of it for the mandatory mods. I know I stopped a little bit early, but what we're gonna do next is try to get a 100% status chance out of this weapon, because this is an automatic lead pumping armor melter. This is where the Boar Prime shines. Now in order to do that, to get the most efficient armor melting effect that we can, we're gonna have to get 100% status chance. And we do that with the 60/60 mods. There are 4 mods in Warframe for shotguns, for rifles as well. That will give you 60% of an element and 60% status chance. Let's start off by adding electricity to our board, and this will be Shell Shock. Now Shell Shock will give you 60% electricity and 60% status chance. Shell Shock, unfortunately, is the most expensive mod in this build. You can farm this one from the mission Elgar on the planet Eris. You will have to do a hive infestation and find all of the secret caches. After you find all of the secret caches, upon extraction, you will have a 5% chance of getting this mod. If you don't want to farm it there, then you're gonna have to pay between 40 and 70 plat from the trade chat. Again, this is the most expensive mod on the list, and sadly there is no getting around Shell Shock if you want to get the most out of your Boar Prime. Very well, we added electricity. Let's add a little bit of toxin now. Toxic Barrage, the 6060 mod for Toxin, much easier to obtain and much cheaper. From the trade chat, 10 plat maximum. And you see that the combination between electricity and Toxin has formed corrosive damage. And as you probably know, corrosive damage is ideal versus heavily armored targets such as the Grineer. Next, let's add a little bit of fire, shall we? Fire is ideal versus the Infested, for example. If you're going up against Infested, you might actually want to equip the next mod. As a side note, Blaze against Infested, definitely 120% recommend. You know what? I recommend Blaze in general on shotguns against everything the Grineer. But anyway, let's add that heat damage now. And the 6060 mod for heat is Scattering Inferno. And just like Toxic Barrage, this is much easier to obtain and much cheaper. 10 plat, maybe 15 if you're in a hurry. Now we got corrosive and heat. And the final 6060 mod, of course, is for cold. And it will be Frigid Blast. Frigid Blast, 60% cold, 60% status chance. And now we got our 100% status chance. However, I need to make a note now about status, how it works with shotguns and pellet-based weapons, such as the Bronco Prime, the AK Bronco, and any pellet-based shotgun, like the Boar Prime, like the Heck, like the Tigris, and so on and so forth. Now, when you fire a shotgun, you fire a whole bunch of little pellets, yes? And you will assume that each of your pellets right now, if I take away Frigid Blast, have a 98.2% chance to apply a status effect. Unfortunately, that's not how it works in Warframe, and I'm not gonna bore you with all the math and the formula and blah 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 behind it. But what you need to know, in order to apply a status effect, with each and every single pellet you fire from a shotgun, you're gonna need a 100% status chance, and here's the kicker, before multi-shot. So if I take away Hell's Chamber, which gives me multi-shot, please go away. Why are you bugging now? There we go. We got an 84.0 status chance. And the difference between 84% and 100% when it comes to pellet-based weapon is absolutely huge, because it simply gets divided among the pellets. This is me trying to explain it in a very simple fashion. Once again, for pellet-based status shotguns, you want 100% status chance before multi-shot effects. Multi-shot can trick you like that, and you might see 100%, but it's not really 100%, and not all your pellets will apply a status effect. So now let's apply our cold 6060 mod. Like I said before, that one is Frigid Blast, and you see it jumped up to 100% status chance with no multi-shot in sight. So we're good now. Now we're gonna add our multi-shot back, which of course, Hell's Chamber mandatory mod. Very well. Now we applied the 46060 mod. We have two damage types, the combination damage types. We have Blast and Corrosive. Corrosive, absolutely ideal versus Grineer. Blast is pretty good against Infested, for example. These should always be altered depending on where you're going and who you're fighting. Are you guys gonna go fight the Corpus? Then a gas and magnetic build will be ideal. Why? Magnetic deals extra damage versus shields, and gas bypasses shields entirely, so that would be awesome. How do we get that? Well, kind of pretty simple. We just change the order of the mods around. The priority is from top left to bottom right. So you see, just by changing these two mods around, I am changing my damage type. Let's see, what do I got now? I got magnetic with gas, ideal versus Corpus. I change it back, I'm back to Blast and Corrosive. And well, that's pretty much all there is to it. The final two mods you should add should be, again, depending on where you're going and who you're fighting. You're always gonna have two of them, especially with a 100% status build. Well, ideally with a 100% status build. So the next two are gonna be dependent on where we're going. Let's say we're fighting the Grineer because everybody wants to exemplify against the Grineer because the Corpus are wimps. So we're gonna add even more electricity and toxin to further amplify that corrosion damage. We're gonna add Charged Shell, the 90% mod for electricity. As for toxin, that is Contagious Spread. These are common mods that everybody should have, and they are not expensive to level up. As you can see here, our corrosive the damage jumped up from 1.6k to 4k, a little bit over 4k. So now we're heavily into corrosive, which is, again, ideal versus the Grineer. Now let's test out the build and see how it works. We're gonna be spawning in some enemies. It's gonna be corrupted heavy gunners, level 110, and I think 8 of them is more than enough. Now the reason I have Vauban is because I want to use my free ability to pump them in the air, because blast damage will knock them down, which will kinda skew the test results. Please keep in mind that corrupted heavy gunners have more HP and armor than normal heavy gunners. And let's go to town. Look at that. Look at that armor melting action. When their health bars turn from orange to red, that means all the armor on these targets is gone. Absolutely gone. There is no more armor. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After 5 shots, the health bar went red. That it means that all the armor is gone. You see a little bit of slash effect going on there. Nothing too major. Now, take a look at this reload time. It's not very good. In actual gameplay situations, that reload time is gonna cost us valuable DPS. And perhaps, well, you don't have time for that reload. And it kind of sucks to like reload and jump around and wait for that weapon to reload and all whatnot. The point is, the usability of a weapon means DPS in actual gameplay situations. So please always take it into account. So let's think about this build. How can we further amplify it? The reload was clearly an issue. Another issue was the fire rate. If we had a better fire rate, that means that will lower our kill time, which is a huge benefit in DPS and well in combat in general. Killing a target faster, well, is a good thing, yes? But I hate modding for those two, for fire rate, and I hate modding for reload time, because basically I'm killing damage by adding pseudo damage, so to speak. So we're gonna jump into Vauban's build, and I want to show you guys an arcane, which I absolutely love. As a shotgun lover, you should have this arcane as well, and it's called Arcane Tempo. On critical hit, 10% chance for plus 60 fire rate to shotguns for 8 seconds, and of course 1 arcane revive. Now I know what you're thinking, it's on critical hit and this is not a critical hit weapon. However, we do still have that 15% chance and we are firing a lot of pellets. In actual gameplay, you will see that Arcane Tempo will be up 100% of your combat time. It procs fairly easily and you're gonna be able to keep it up. The only time when you're gonna have like a small gap of not having it is when the combat starts and you actually start firing a couple of shots. So I 100% recommend Arcane Tempo. If you want to farm this one, it drops from Cetus, from the first Eidolon, the Terrorless, so you can farm it from there, fairly easy to do. If not, if you just want to buy it, 5 plat each, you're gonna need 10, that's 50 plat for the entire set, and there's really no excuse to not having this if you're into shotguns. So we're gonna equip Arcane Tempo and this will fix our fire rate issue. As for the reload, again, I hate modding for these things. You have a couple of options, so let's explore. Reload. Seeking Fury, I love this one when I use the Tigris, definitely. It gives you some punch through, which helps on lower level missions, on lower level content, where I can just like blow away an entire room with that punch through, definitely can do. It only gives 15% reload speed, but you can go for this one, it will fix a little bit of the reload issue. Other, you have Tactical Pump. It flat out gives you 30% reload speed, and I do not recommend this mod. A much better option than Tactical Pump will be Chilling Reload. Now this one gives me 40% reload speed, which is much higher, and 60% cold, so it gives me some damage as well. That is very important, and 40% reload speed will bring my reload from 2.8 down to 2.0, which is kind of bearable, let's call it like that. I wish we could have had versions with electricity, with toxins, so we can work more into corrosion, but it's gonna be definitely, from my point of view, the best option on the list. What are we gonna slot out? Either of the two, Charge Shell or Contagious Spread, the Toxin one or the Electricity 90 mod. We can't touch the 60-60 mods because we're messing up our status, and of course Hell's Chamber and Point Blank would be stupid to remove. So one of these, it doesn't matter which one you remove. You're gonna add 90 mods depending again on who you fight. So let's put on Chilling Reload over here, and you will see that the reload did went down to 2.0. However, our damage suffers. I no longer have 4000 corrosive, I'm down to 2.8, and the blast went up from 1.6 to 2.4 because of the 60% cold. However, my corrosive is still higher thanks to the 90% electricity mod. And now I fixed my reload time, and I fixed my fire rate as well, so let's go back into action. Again, I hate modding for stuff like reload. but it is true that usability mods such as this one will make a bigger difference in actual DPS in a combat situation than paper DPS. Because in actual combat, you're not just gonna be standing there, you know, shooting a defenseless target that simply can't do anything against you. So let's keep that one in mind. As you can see, the fire rate arcane is absolutely brilliant. Our reload speed no longer is absolute garbage, is bearable at 2.0, so that did make a pretty big impact in DPS. We're not hitting as hard now, but we're hitting a whole lot faster. We're not hitting as hard simply because we swapped off the 90 toxin mod, but we are killing targets a whole lot faster thanks to the fire rate arcane. And well, that's gonna be the build. This is what I recommend. It has a little bit of usability in it, and it has plenty of damage, and it simply strips away armor from high level enemies with no problem at all. You can take this build pretty much anywhere, and the only expensive mod on the list is Shell Shock. If I didn't mention it, Chilling Reload 10 plat max, you can get it for 5 if you haggle. If you don't have it, because I didn't have it either, so I just paid like somebody 8 plat or something like that. Now let's change things up just a little bit. We're gonna go for a Riven, because again, this thing has a Riven disposition of 5 out of 5, and you can get amazing Rivens because of that. Now my Riven has critical chance, which is, to be honest, not exactly ideal. This is not a crit weapon, but it does have multi-shot, which does matter a whole lot. And as you saw over here, I did swap out the reload mod and swapped in the Riven. Of course, as per the usual, you can deal with a higher reload time if you so desire in gameplay. If you can be a bit more careful when you reload between waves and all whatnot. So if you're an experienced enough player and you feel you can work around the reload time, then definitely you don't need to sacrifice the damage. This is just me being arrogant and stupid. Don't do what I did. In any case, you can get a whole lot better Riven than this simply because you can get negatives on a Riven. So something like a little bit of status chance, so you can get rid of one of the 60-60 mods, wouldn't be bad, definitely. Reload speed would be good. Fire rate would be good. Magazine capacity on this thing, believe it or not, would be freaking awesome as well. So you can get better stats, and of course, the ever popular multi-shot damage, because why the hell not? So yeah, if you can get damage on the Riven, that's definitely good, but multi-shot in our case trumps flat damage. So this is the build with the Riven. It works a little bit better, and we're gonna go back into testing against the exact same group. I don't know if I mentioned this, did I mention this? But I'm using Vauban's free ability simply to keep these guys in the air so the blast damage I deal doesn't splat them all over the place and skew my test results. So as you can see, it's quite a bit faster. Now, it might seem a whole lot faster now, but the difference is, with the Riven, I can kill these targets between 3 and 4 hits, and without the Riven, I can kill these targets in about from 5 to 7 hits. So it is quite the difference if you think about it. Rivens do make things better, but in all honesty, they are not 100% needed, so don't feel forced, or don't feel that you have to spend thousands and thousands of plat on Rivens. You don't need to do that. There is not content for stuff like that, trust you me. Anyway, that's gonna do it for the build. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you got any feedback for me, by all means, leave it in the comment section down below. If you would like to see a specific weapon made into a video, a build video for, by all means, leave that as well. You have my promise that I will read each and every comment. Once again, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. And I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.